Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5x3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5x3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show. All right. Hi, everybody. And we are back. It's 5x3 Radio. It's been quite a while since we last put out a podcast for all of you. Rebecca and I seem to have not been able to get on the same page at all since August.
Yeah, it's been busy.
It's been a little busy, August and September into October. But we finally found a time and date that worked for us to just, at least do something. So we're going to try to get a couple podcasts out before the end of the year. Fingers crossed. And we are alive and well.
Yeah, in case you were wondering.
In case you're wondering, people are like, where's the podcast? Lots have been happening, a lot going on, some good, some not so good, illnesses and things like that. But now so far, healthy, ready to move into another month. We only have 2 months to go before the end of the year.
Yeah. October's gone by fast.
It's so much happening in the next 2 months. And one thing I'll plug my event before now instead of at the end, but we are getting ready for Stronger Together. Stronger Together, our partner strength meet, is in our 6th year. It's the 6th year for the event. It's December 8th, Sunday, December 8th. And it's our second fundraiser of the year. We do 2. One is for the Ullman House. That's the Charm City Strongman contest. And Stronger Together is for the music therapy program at Gilchrist Hospice in Towson. So we have been raising money for them over the past, 5 years now with the Stronger Together event. And it is happening once again. So for those listeners who would like to make a donation, or I forgot that we were, registration had opened, you can register, or you can make a donation. You can send a check to me, 4015 Foster Avenue, Suite 200, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Or you can always wait for the donation link to come out on our page, and I'll put it on the podcast page too. And you can make a donation directly to Gilchrist. So that is our Stronger Together event, which I'll be participating in again with my partner, one of my members. Yes, we are known as the Hot Flashes. And I do fan myself quite a bit at the day of. I get hot at the gym, but because I'll be 50 next month. So Liz is 51. So now we are, masters, hoping for a win, hoping for always vying for first place, but we'll take second place because of Ralph and Martha, the reigning champions. As we get older, they get older. So check out Stronger Together. You can go to our Facebook page, or you can go to our website to learn more about the event. So we thought we'd spend a little bit of time today just touching on a few different topics. Rebecca and I were kind of doing a little brainstorm before. So a hodgepodge of topics, kind of hey, what do you do with your clients? This is what I do with my clients. Since we are heading into the holidays, and we have COVID is kind of here with us to stay, not as badly as it was in, about 4 years ago, but people are still getting sick, and everybody's got colds and sinus issues and COVID issues. And so we thought we'd touch on, what do we do with our clients during the holidays in regards to their training? And what do we do with them when we find out that they've been sick, or or coming off of a sickness, or maybe they've been around someone who was sick and they're not sure if they can train or what they should do. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Rebecca.
Nice.
Since I can. So let's talk first about holidays. Holidays are coming up. And this past month has been a big one for a couple of my members because they're Jewish. And the Jewish holidays seem to be just like smack in the month of October. So they've had to miss some training sessions. So what do you do with your clients as you approach the holidays? So let's say, we've got Thanksgiving coming up. We've got Christmas coming up. We've got a variety of things that are packed together into like 2 months. thoughts about what you do with your clients when they have concerns about their training,
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is just talk and plan.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the perfect time to kind of look ahead over the next 2.5, 3 months, figure out what your family and holiday commitments are. If it involves travel, if it involves, I don't know, high stress events like feeding large numbers of family members and all of the
See,
house cleaning and cooking.
seeing family members or seeing family members.
Yeah, just seeing family members, any of that. So kind of just looking ahead and, doing that now, and sort of coming up with a general approach, and then break it down, at the beginning of each week, when you can be more task specific. So sort of at this point, if a person has a lot of travel or a lot of commitments, and if they generally do 4 day a week lift, maybe pull things back a little bit and do a 3 day a week lift schedule. Or if they're going to be traveling, and they're headed to places where they won't have access to barbells, but they will have access to dumbbells or kettlebells. Think about like just a different type of program, something that's maybe more circuit training based, or that sort of thing for a couple of months. A little vacation from the barbell, a little, but still staying somewhat fit.
Yeah.
And then, each week, as at the beginning of the week, just kind of looking ahead, at uh and being flexible about things. Like I'm usually pretty rigid
Mm-hmm.
with my own lifts,
Mm-hmm.
which lifts I do which days, and my schedule allows me that luxury. But this week is crazy. And so I've got, at the beginning of this week, I had to sort of be like, okay, I normally deadlift on Thursdays. I'm not going to be able to do that Thursday. Does it make more sense for me to, do it a day early, a day later? How am I going to sort of shuffle things around this particular week based on commitments, once you get a week out and you can look a little more granularly. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm mostly just planning.
Yeah. And that's the key, right? Is planning. Knowing ahead of time what your schedule may look like. So you can, but not setting it in stone, right? Not saying once you plan something, this is what it is. As Rebecca said, being flexible, allowing yourself the time to maybe do 2 sessions a week instead of the 3 sessions a week because you don't have that third day. And it's okay. You plan for that by adding an extra lift into that one day, but maybe modifying it so you don't have the time, but you do want to get that third lift in. So, if it's a squat, maybe you don't have the time to do your sets across. What I like to do is just do sets of 5 leading up to like one top set. So you get a little bit of volume, you get your squatting in, but you're not going to spend another 20 minutes, half an hour that you don't have. And you still feel like, you haven't missed that lift. I have a clients, my private clients, who come in the morning. They're Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And as I said, the Jewish holidays have been really prominent in October. So they're missing this Friday and they missed last Friday. So we had to take basically their 3-day program and, make it into 2 days. One of them deadlifts heavy on Friday. So instead of having kind of a light deadlift on Monday, we did like a medium deadlift. We did some like a top single, and then we did some, some back offs, but it was higher than what the Monday training session would be, but lighter than her Friday session, just because there's a lot of work happening with the holidays, a lot of cooking, a lot of standing around the kitchen, a lot of dealing with families and kids. So we don't want her that tired, for that. But also you understand that the flip side, she's kind of tired because she has been doing that all weekend. All weekend is, preparing this week for the holiday. So coming in Monday, you're tired. So we've done a lot of kind of maintenance. I would say I call it maintenance working, right? Taking the weight down a bit. She has also got a little sick for a time too. So that disrupted some things. But for the most part, we've been able to stay fairly consistent with her program because she's flexible, very extremely flexible. and we have a good system and we plan ahead. Like we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're not going to miss 2 Fridays. Here's a plan for Monday and Wednesday, Monday and Wednesday. And we've executed those plans and all has gone, has gone well. At the same time, giving herself some permission to not push heavy weight like we usually do, because tired from a lot of busy holiday prep work and just missing a day. You don't need to stress yourself out in the gym. I always say the gym is a time for de-stressing. If you're stressed out about your training, on top of stressed out about your feeding people or seeing people or traveling, the two are you're not going to have a good time in the
Yeah.
gym.
Your body can only absorb so much stress.
Exactly. And
Whatever
that
kind of
is,
stress that is.
yeah. And that's tricky. That's the tricky part. Stress is very much a part of our lives. And right around this time, it's even more intense, right? Intensified, not just with the holidays coming up, but other activities, other events occurring the next couple of weeks in November that have maybe been, made people a little stressful. So all of us are kind of hyped up. And then you add in the workout and you add in the training and you add in, I can't get to the gym that day and I can't get to the gym that day. And you just fall apart unless you have a plan, unless you have some type of plan or a concept of a plan.
Yeah. And then, I mean, you
to
have
quote someone.
I don't know how you went there. So you have the plan then, though, and you're able to make
Right.
the best use of the time that you have when you're in the gym. Because that's the other thing. If you've got limited time and you
Right.
haven't thought ahead about how am I going to, you've narrowed it down to, okay, I'm going to do 2 days at the gym this week, Monday and Wednesday, not Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you haven't thought through enough what you're going to do when you get there. Well, then you end up spending 15 minutes of your hour when you're at the gym or however long you have trying to sort that out. So, get that all figured out before you show up.
Yeah. And definitely if you have a coach, obviously talk that out with your coach, right? And don't spring it on your coach like the day of your training session. Oh, by the way, hi, no, you want to contact them ahead of time so that the two of you put it together, right? It's not just they put it together. You have to remind them that, hey, I'm going to miss this day, or I'm not going to be able to make that, that session. I have an online client who is great about that. She highlights her spreadsheet on, her side, and she'll say, I'm only able to do 2 sessions this week. I'm skipping this day just to let you know. So that's why, if you don't see this is why. And then I know what to do for her 3rd day. Right. And then I know what to do the next week because she skipped that one session. It's easy for me then to, to continue to help her with her programming. If you don't let your coach know and then you kind of throw your hands up, you get out of a rhythm too, right? It's both of you working at the same time. You have to make sure that you tell the person what you need, and they have to also be checking in with you. Hey, holidays are coming up. Do you have any travel? What's going on? Do we need to make any modifications with your schedule? Let me know. Because that way it's easier for us, and we're not going to forget, what your week looks like. Yeah, holidays are tricky. And it's hard sometimes to stay in a consistent pattern with your training. And as Rebecca, as you said, trying to be flexible. So maybe it's not just the barbell. Maybe you just don't have the time for that one day, or you don't have access to the gym, but you've got some stuff at home. And you could use it as a rest day, sure, or you could use it as a day to just do some accessory work or do a quick workout. I trained for the first time on vacation. When we were on vacation. I can't believe I did it.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling for
you. I did.
Yeah.
I did. And the reason I wanted to train was I actually got sick the end of August. So I was sick for about 2 weeks, the end of August, just complete fatigue and muscle aches. I didn't know what was going on with me. So then I got back in the gym and I had already lost some time. And then bam, our vacation comes up. And it's going to be another 10 days or so. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to find some gyms in Rome. And I did. I found gyms in Rome, Sorrento, Amalfi. And I went one time in Rome and I went one time in Sorrento. So I only missed 1 week of training.
So, did Diego go with you or you were on your own?
Nope. I was on my own. I was on my own. I was so proud of myself. I found it. I found out where the gym was in relationship to the hotel. I walked there, did my little day pass, was there for
Did
an
you
hour.
use Google Translate?
No, they all
No.
spoke English. Everyone speaks English.
Mm.
We're the dumb people who don't know three languages. They're way more sophisticated than us. So, but it felt so good. It felt so good to have that session. And I just did what I could. I did some benching. I did some squatting. I'm figuring out the plates. They're all in kilos. I was able to do some kettlebell work with the kettlebell, and it felt good. And I didn't worry that was I following my training protocol to the T? Of course not. But I was doing something, and guess what? When I came back after a real week off, it felt much better. I moved right in nice and slow into my training, but there was very little soreness, very little, I hadn't lost too much because of that sickness. I'd already, I was really drained when I came back from that. I didn't want to miss much more. And I'm really glad I did it. It gave me some time away too from like everything and just kind of focusing on some weights. But I tell you, commercial gyms in Italy, oh God, they're just as bad as here.
Oh, why?
No one puts their shit away. Plates are all over the place, different kinds of plates. People leave their plates on the bar loaded. So when they're done, they just walk away. And then you're
So
wondering, is the person done? Are they not done? I don't know. I don't want to take their bar, but yeah. So just like commercial gyms
just
here.
like the gym I work in down here.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I felt much better about my
Mhm.
own gym. But
Yeah.
I was, so I actually spent the time. I did an hour there and an hour in Sorrento, and it was just enough, and it made me feel so much better. Like I really felt good. And when I came back, I was nice and refreshed. But I was flexible. And I've been flexible now with my training for a number of years. I used to be really kind of, black and white about it. I couldn't miss, and I couldn't miss this day. And if I missed that day, the world was going to come to an end. And it didn't. And it never does. And I don't lose that much. So getting older has helped, you know,
It's calmed you down.
calm me down. I've matured. So I think that's always the biggest takeaway, right? I think that, you and I try to give people is that whole idea of being flexible, because you and I weren't always like that.
Oh, no. And I mean, like I usually am the one that when we go on vacation, I mean, that was always the conversation we had. I was the one that would find a gym and you were like,
Right.
no, I'm on vacation. I'm taking the week. And sometimes you need the week. And sometimes you need to go to the safety and sanctity of the gym to decompress
Yes.
and get your mental shit together, and then
Yeah.
you can go back out and enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Yeah. And
But we have this trip coming up in January where I don't know, it's just going to be weird because my nephew's getting married on a cruise ship. We're going
oh,
on a cruise ship for a
that's
week.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, well, I have never lifted weights at sea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have a couple. I
That'll
train
be
the wife.
interesting.
Jay trains the husband, and they go on lots of cruises, and they always seem to do some type of workout on the cruise. And they're
Like,
really good about they are very flexible. They're very flexible because they train primarily with the bar, but on the cruise ship, they're doing just machines or dumbbells, and they go to town. They get something done.
yeah.
They kind of really keep that consistency. They keep that consistent training going. It's pretty cool. One of my clients went to visit his son just this last week in California. He took his book. He went twice to the gym, and he told his son, "When are you going? Are we going to go today? Are we going? Are we going?" Like he was bugging his kid. He was bugging his child, his son, to go. And he did a full workout. He got. I mean, I was really impressed. Really impressed. He's 70 years old, and he just started with me in January. So here he is taking his book to California, and he's following his
Oh,
his, his program.
his training book, his training log.
Yes, and he's
Oh, I
following
thought,
it.
I thought you meant like a novel. He brought
No,
a novel.
no, he brought his training book. He brought his training book, and he showed me. He was proud. He showed me. He said, "Take a look." I was like, "Damn!" I said, "You did that while you were awake?" He goes, "Yeah." He said, "I think I did pretty good too. I must say, I think I squatted well. I think I don't need the box anymore." But I was really impressed because for someone who just started lifting in January, so this is not like a
Yeah.
seasoned lifter, who was adamant my older clients are very adamant. They don't like to miss. I had one of my ladies just return from a trip to New Mexico with her husband. And one thing she said to me was, I don't want to miss the gym. I'm really going to miss this place. And she got right back to it. She said, I'll be back on Wednesday. And sure enough, she was here today. So, being consistent, even when you go away for a time and, you come back, saying to yourself, I'm going to come back. I'm back on Thursday. That's a big part of it too. I think we're talking about training during the holidays I think traveling goes along with that because people do travel for the holidays. Telling yourself, when I get back home on Tuesday, I'm going X, right? If you don't do that, it's very easy to start to say, oh, well, I'll go next week. Or I'll go next week. I'll go next week. And then it just starts to become, when are you going to get back to, into things? So telling yourself or telling somebody, I'll see you next Wednesday. Like she said to me, I'll see you next Wednesday. And sure enough, she showed up that
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Again, just having the plan.
That's it. Having a plan, knowing that I'm going to be off, I'm going to be gone for a few days. And when I return, I'm coming back on this day. I mean, that's, I didn't have a plan as to what day I was going to train in Italy, but I could kind of see it as we started the week. I was like, oh, I've got this day. Okay. Oh, then now I have this day to, to go to this place because you're not, Diego was under the weather for a couple of days, just had a cold. I was like, cool, I'm going to go to the gym. You stay here in your room and sleep. I'm going to go train. But it's kind of like seeing what do you have and then, doing as much as you can do. And then when we got to Amalfi, there was clearly no way I was going to do any kind of training. I was also walking so many stairs and hills. I didn't need to do anything. I didn't need to do that. So yes, flexibility, having a plan, and
Having
trying
a
to,
flexible plan.
yes. And having an idea of, if you're traveling, getting somewhere, and if you can't, telling yourself, when I get back, I'm going back on Tuesday. I'll see you Thursday. And if you tell somebody, I'll see you, you kind of have already made yourself, be
You
held
got like
accountable. Yeah, held
accountability.
accountability. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I know we've talked, there have been many podcasts we've done on holidays, and I think it's always good to come back to that, a year after year, because year after year, things change. You change, schedules change, traveling changes, just anything. You're older. Allowing yourself to just either plan something ahead of time if you don't have a coach, or definitely talk to your coach, ahead of where, if you're, the time where, things are going to get really busy. What can I do? What can I do while I'm traveling, or what do I do when I have to have family at this time, and, all that good stuff. Illnesses, because this is the time of year where people are getting sick a lot. I know lots of people have had COVID. I've gotten COVID again. I got my COVID shot on Saturday and I felt like crap on Sunday. So I had to miss a training day. Diego's like, you're not going to the gym. I was like, I'm lying there in my bed, not moving. So, what happens when people return? Because I think when they're sick, obviously when they're sick, they don't come to the gym. But upon returning to the gym, how do you like to get people back into their training when they are coming back from an illness? And is it different depending on what illness they've had? Or is it do you have something like a kind of a blanket? Like, this is what I like to do with people when they come back, from being sick and they've been out for, let's say, a week and a half, maybe.
Yeah. No, I don't really necessarily have a blanket thing that I do with people, but I generally will give them an RPE range as opposed to give them a specific weight that
Mm-hmm.
they're meant to lift. So, just kind of go back to the big four lifts that we have people do, or whichever of those they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have somebody who's not overhead pressing or benching for whatever reason. So have them get back to those big lifts, maybe doing 2 sets as opposed to 3 sets, particularly if it's something like squat,
Right.
which tends to leave people more sore.
Mm-hmm.
But having them their first day back after an illness in particular, but sometimes even just after travel, like if they've traveled, been doing a lot of sitting, been stressed a lot, and coming back to the gym for the first time, just to kind of test the waters and do a couple sets, work up to a couple sets at 7.5, something like that.
For
And then
those people who don't know like what RPE is or what 7.5 is, what would that be like numbers
yeah,
wise or weight wise for you, for people? So you
so
say,
yeah, so rate of perceived exertion, RPE. And so there's a couple different ways to conceptualize like what a 7.5 would be. But basically, for somebody who typically has an intensity day and a volume day, it would be maybe as heavy as a volume day feels. So something where you feel like you could easily do 3 more reps, maybe even 4. Your
mm-hmm,
form is fine. There's no
mm-hmm.
issue with form degrading at a 7.5. So they look pretty, they feel meaningful, but not difficult, and sort of more the equivalent of how a weight might feel on a volume day.
Yeah. Yeah. I sit with sickness. I definitely like to be conservative because I'll say something, you've been out. So that's one thing, but you've been out because you've been sick, not because you've been traveling for work, right? So there's kind of like the twofold. So if someone misses a week of training, but it's because they had to go away for for work, that's one thing. If they were out for a week and it's because they were sick, they had the flu, they had cold, they had pneumonia, whatever it is, and now they've recovered.
They had the 2-week mystery disease.
Right. They had a 2-week mystery disease like me, where I was told I had post-viral arthritis, whatever the hell that meant. Um, I say, you've been stressed. This is a stressor, the weight training, and you've been stressed. Your body's already been stressed because of the illness. So we'll open up their notebook. We'll take a look and see what they did the last time they were here. And usually I'll have them, I don't work too much in RP with many of my clients. Some of my clients who are more advanced, they do RP, but for most people, especially if they're just new to this, maybe we'll look back and we'll see what they did a couple of weeks ago and we'll say, let's see if we can work up to somewhere around that number. Let's work up to that number or work up to under that number. Maybe repeat it. So, but give me one set of squats, give me one set.
That's actually a really good point. And I forgot to mention this. Like, I will also say, like, at, approximately RPE 7.5, and then I'll, in parentheses, put no more than thus and such, particularly
Right.
with clients that I know have a tendency to push themselves harder
Mm-hmm.
or to underestimate their RPE, because sometimes a person will come back after a week off or 2 weeks from an illness, and they'll have slept a lot and actually feel pretty good.
Yes.
And so a weight that might normally be something that's challenging or heavy or more of an intensity day weight will feel after that rest time like something that is a volume weight. So, I do give some pound parameters to
Yeah.
what isn't, but with the caveat that if this weight or something in this range actually feels exhaustingly heavy to you, feels like you're struggling and it's an at 9 and your form is falling apart,
Yeah.
don't push it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it is, I always say the same thing, warm up and see how you feel. That is like my motto, warm up and
Yeah.
see how you feel. I say, if you warm up, you get to your last warm up and that feels easy, great. Go repeat that weight you did last time or do a single. I'll give them a number, like give me 1 to 3, right? So then they have permission to do a single
Do you
or
have
3.
do you have them do their normal warm up? Like a normal warm up would sort of taper, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. Somebody who's coming back from a real long break. So we're not talking about illness, quickly. If someone's coming back from like maybe they've been away for a year, then it becomes sets of 5,
Mhm.
until you hit a weight, and I'll give, but I actually might give them a number. Like if they're squatting, I might say, all right, you're going to do bar 65, 80, 65, 75, 85, 95, stop, kind of thing. Like, especially if their squat was like 135, you kind of over time learn like this is a good number to hit because you've been gone for like 5 months or
Yeah.
you've been gone for a year, right? So there I'm going to do sets of five. Someone's going to come back from being sick, they can still do their like normal warm-ups, right? Their normal, and maybe it's a repeat. Maybe it's just a repeat of that last time. Again, they'll know as they're warming up, how do things feel? Is their heart beating real fast? Or do they feel fine? Are their legs feel like jello? Then we can start to kind of, figure out, okay, where are we going to stop? Where are we going, what's the end game here? I do find that people who are away for a time come back and they do a lot better once they've had a break, especially if they've slept or they've just had some time off, just for other reasons, not even for sickness. They come back better. They come back stronger. They come back because they're not in their head anymore, right? Everybody
Yeah.
gets in their head. They are not in their head. They just want to get back to the gym. They want to get back to lifting. They get back and everything just moves really, really well. And sometimes you come back and things really feel heavy, especially that first day. Everyone's like, why does it feel so heavy? It's like, it's okay. It's going to feel light the next time. And sure enough, the next session, everything feels back to normal. It's just that first initial day, your brain is like, what the hell is this? We haven't done this in a week and a half. You've been sitting on the couch, you've been lying in bed, and now you got this bar on your back. So there has to be kind of some like you've got permission to go up, you've got permission to go down, you've got permission to stay where you are. And when people have that, it makes it easy for them to just kind of ease back in and go, oh, good. She says I can hit that number and I'm fine. Great. Okay. Well, I'm just going to squat that today. And I'll say, if it feels easy, good. That's great. It's okay that it feels easy. We can add weight next time. We can always add weight next time, right? It's those deload weeks. It's those deload times that are built into people's schedules, right? So we talked about that. I don't give people deload weeks. They don't need them. The deload is you get sick, your child gets sick, you miss work, you miss training for work, your relatives are in town, whatever it is, right? So those deloads are already built in. You don't need to add one into your program. But it's tricky if you're not doing this if you don't have a coach to help you. For those of you listening who don't have a coach, think about what Rebecca and I just said, like, how do we work with them? Think about yourself, put yourself in our client's shoes. You go back, you look at your numbers and you decide, okay, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. I might work up to the same number or I'm going to work under that, right? But the most important thing is if you're squatting, don't do more than one set. 2 sets might even be pushing it. 2 sets might be okay. But I tell you, anybody who does 3 sets after a real long break, they are walking like a cowboy for a whole week. And they can't sit down on the toilet without screaming in pain. I've been there. I did that to myself. I did that to myself when I came back from being sick. I thought I was smart and I wasn't smart. And I did that to myself. So no more than 2 sets, no more than 2 sets, 1 or 2. I always kind of opt for like the one set. Pressing, benching, sure, you can do your sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, whatever it is. But squatting will kill you. It will hurt
Well,
you.
I think sometimes bench will leave you a little more
Bench could
sore
leave
too.
bench could leave you sore.
But it's not the sort of thing that you get reminded of with every step during the day or
Exactly.
every time you're trying to go up or down the stairs.
Exactly. The squat is the one exercise that will do that to you, and not even the deadlift. So that's illness. And we have a podcast on that. So if you want to know more about our thoughts on training after an illness, go back in the archives, go back and you'll find a whole podcast on that. Holidays, illness. I guess travel goes along with the holidays because people travel.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing that's sort of like I was saying before, that's new or different, at least in my perception of things recently in terms of travel or
Mhm.
holidays, is and this is maybe just specific to my mom. But, like, there is a lot of sitting with travel and
Yes.
holidays.
Yes.
Sitting in cars, getting places, sitting at people's houses, socializing, sitting at a holiday meal table, getting back in the car, and movement is important. Being able to get up and move around sometimes is exactly what your body needs. And so I think it's sometimes like a mindset, maybe it's a generational thing. Like if I have sat in a car 2 hours to get to a relative's house, I'm going to stand up, walk around, move around their house. I'm not going to be worried about whether I'm perceived as impolite by not sitting on the sofa and having a long conversation. And I get up and stand, or if I've been sitting in a chair for a while, I'll get up and stand behind the chair and still participate in the conversation. But
Yes.
some people, some generations of people feel more, I think, more pressured to sit politely, and that can have some real negative impacts
Mm-hmm.
on your low back, on sciatic issues. So, just my own personal family experience, be more concerned about your health and physical needs, movement,
Yes.
and whether or not you're being perceived as polite by sitting politely.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You hit something on the nose there. Like when we just got back from like vacation, I mean, God, we were on a train, we were on a bus, we were on a plane, we were here. There's a lot of traveling. There were a lot of trying to get to one place or the other required us to be sitting,
Mm-hmm.
I think the only time we stood was it was almost like a little train subway car from Naples to Sorrento, and it was packed, right? But it was a bus, but we were standing like we were on a subway. That's probably the only time I stood in in one of the transportation modes. But when we get to the airport before like our flight, he's like, I don't need to sit. I don't want to sit right now. I said, we've been sitting. Like, let's walk around
Yeah.
the airport. So we'll take
Yeah.
laps. We'll do laps around the airport. Get to the airport
Yeah.
out early. Get there. Don't sit like everybody else does. Do laps. Check out the stores. Check out
It's
every
also
store.
like the difference between whether you're traveling with adults and whether you're traveling with small children.
Right.
Because like when we were traveling with our kids when they were little, there was no question about where you're going to sit for an extended period of time. Somebody had to get up and wander around with the kids because kids do a lot better job listening to their bodies than adults do.
Yes, they
And
do.
the kids will be like, no, I've been sitting in the car long enough. I'm going to have a temper tantrum until we stop the car and I can run around at the rest area.
Exactly.
Whatever
Exactly.
it is.
No, you're absolutely right. And we need to think about do more of that. So a lot of times if if I get somewhere and I said, I'm standing, like, I don't want to sit down. Like, I'm happy to stand because I'm going to be sitting on a plane. So I don't need to sit and then sit and then sit and then sit. So continue to move your body and paying attention to that when you're traveling. I had a thought in my head about traveling, and it went out of my head. As you're talking about it, I was like, right, I want to mention this. It'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll come back to me. Because I was something along the lines of of moving your body, and I can't think of what it is. Yeah, no, I do a lot of standing. I mean, I go to my parents' house and I don't like sit down right away. We'll stand around the kitchen, and then maybe I'll walk over and I'll sit down because the dog is being antsy. So he needs to like jump up on my lap and play around, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's
like an airplane, walking up and down the aisle.
Yeah, exactly. Esther was telling me about a woman who was doing yoga in the aisle on an airplane.
Oh, interesting.
I was like,
I've never seen that.
She's like, yoga people are so weird. I don't need to see that. Nobody needs to see that.
That's maybe a little, yeah. Okay, maybe there you've crossed a line.
that's going a little overboard. On that. But
warrior pose in the aisle. Oh boy.
No, I think the biggest the biggest thing I've learned over the years that I've been training and I've been coaching other people is I start to take my own medicine, right? I tell people to slow down. I tell people to give themselves a break. I tell people to give themselves permission to not train for 2 hours, to train for 45 minutes and, do one lift. And you know what? I take my own medicine. I do the same thing. I really do. I'm way more flexible.
Now.
Yeah. Get up and move your body. I know my Apple Watch told me half an hour ago to stand up. I ignored it. Is really being flexible. Like when I couldn't train on Sunday, I didn't lose my mind. It wasn't like I broke down. Like I just trained on Monday. Not a big deal. Like just suck it up. It's not a big deal. And most of my clients, they are good about that. They're way more flexible. I'm proud that I can say that I dish out what I can take, or I take what I dish out. I couldn't do that. Couldn't do that before. But God, I can't think. It was on the tip of my tongue. I was wanting to say something and I can't remember. So anything
So
else? Any other
that will be what we
holiday
start the
tips?
next podcast with, whatever was on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, I think so. I'll definitely
Yeah.
remember it. I know we've talked about nutrition once, and like eating and allowing yourself to like enjoy your time with your family and enjoy your food. Do that. Make sure you do that. Make sure you enjoy the time you have now. Like take every day and enjoy that slice of pie and enjoy that fruitcake if you like fruitcake. I don't like fruitcake, but maybe you do like fruitcake.
That's a poor choice.
Disgusting. Disgusting. But enjoy yourself. Like, and this is the time. This is the time to like relax and have some fun. And if you're so worried about what you eat typically, or how am I going to get all my training in, you need to sit down, make that plan, like Rebecca said way back in the beginning. Make a plan, and then allow yourself to have some flexibility with the plan. I know I will be having my Negronis this holiday season, like I did in Italy, every day.
Oh yeah, that is a lot of Italian drink, isn't it? Yeah.
They make really good Negronis.
Mhm.
Very, very good Negronis. Yes. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind going back during a holiday when it was cold and quiet, because there were way too many people for my taste. So
I don't see how a holiday would be less crowded, but I guess
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But definitely, like, that's another reason why I went to the gym, was I had to get away from people. There were too many people for my taste. Any other tips, thoughts? We'll probably come up with something that we can do for a whole other podcast, but we wanted to get at least something out before November and into December. And we thought, it's a nice relevant time.
And a plug for Stronger Together.
So again, that's December 8th, and you can make a donation always to Gilchrist. You can just go right to their website, but we will have a link in the show notes that you can go to, and goes directly to the music therapy program at Gilchrist. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So any questions you have, or comments or thoughts, or, if you want you have a question about what we talked about today in regards to training during the holidays or after an illness, you can always email me at emily@5by3.com, or email Rebecca at
cornerstonestrengthmaryland@gmail.com.
So you can either contact both of us, or one, or each of us, or, whatever you want. You can just say hi. Like the show. Where
have you been?
Where have you been? Yeah, where have you been? We've been all over the place. And we will be back hopefully in another couple weeks. And it's, again, if you have topics that you'd like us to discuss that we haven't talked about, or maybe we've talked about before and would like to refresh it, then send that to us as well. And we will be back in a little bit with some more. Thanks, Rebecca.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to 5x3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5x3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.